Hey Jack, hope you're well. Sorry it's taking me so long to get a lesson sent over to you. I'll send a few bits. I mean, if you can send me more in relation to what I just sent you on WhatsApp in relation to harmony. I think I know what you mean. We're talking more about the sort of chord, like how chords work, how to harmonize, how that all works, and how to kind of functionally harmonize a moving line, but also in the context of like the key you're in and what chords would be available to you given that information. So I think I get what you're after. So rather than us start with harmonizing that long melody, which sounds beautiful by the way, really really nice, and I'm going to try and give you, rather than me just show you a harmonization of that melody, I would rather more give you like the tools that you can then use to harmonize it. Because when you're given like a melody such as the one you sent, it's very diatonic. It's very like, you know. It's that kind of vibe, isn't it? I'm sure that was like none of the same notes as your actual melody, because I had listened to it twice, but I didn't learn it. But that's the vibe, and there's actually like a 1,000 ways you can harmonize that, probably more. But the first place to start is where you're hearing the key. So I'm definitely hearing the key in E minor. So what you want to know is, one of the first choices you make is do you want it to be triadic or do you want it to be more kind of colourful? And if you want to keep it more in the folky kind of area, you kind of want it to be more triadic and a bit simpler. Not simpler as in more boring, but you can think of it as more kind of pure sounding when you use triads. You can actually use triads and make things sound really beautiful, because of like the purity of how it all resolves, and sometimes if you like add too many colourful notes to like a folky melody, it can sound a little bit wanky sometimes, but you can make it work if you're tasteful about it. But I think one of the places to start is okay, we've established that your melody's in kind of the key of E minor. So you need to know, first of all of your diatonic chords in E minor. So what I mean by that, I can't remember if we've gone through this. I think we've probably gone through this, but we've probably done it from the perspective of a major key. So I believe previously in a lesson we've probably done it in G major, which is quite handy because that's the relative major of E minor. So we probably did like, I'll try and get in shot here. So like, I'll just do bar chords actually. G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp half diminished, G major. We sort of probably did that, and then we're down. You can make them seventh chords to add kind of more colour, make it a bit less folky. So it's A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, D7. The fifth degree is always dominant seventh rather than major 7. So I'm moving really fast because I want to give you loads of cool stuff to practice in a short amount of time. So E minor 7, so yeah, E minor 7. F sharp half diminished, G major 7. Now, you may have noticed both times we played F sharp half diminished. The reason for that is, I mean, F sharp half diminished is technically a seventh chord, meaning it's got a root, a third, a fifth, seventh. In the case of a half diminished chord, it's a root, a flat third, a flat fifth, a flat seventh. So you could say, yeah, I should have played a triad, a diminished triad on the first time we went through the exercise. The reason why I didn't is actually, it's just a guitaristic thing in that, I'm sure it's not a word, guitaristic thing, but it's that diminished chords are actually just, without the double flat seventh, or even like a half diminished chord which has a flat seventh. So diminished triads are, sorry, forget that past sentence. Diminished triads are really hard to play on guitar because they are like this. You would have to play it like a 4-note diminished triad is like the stretchiest thing in the world. Or another way would be like, you could do that actually. Well, there you go, that's how you play a diminished triad. So if you wanted to play it as a diminished triad, like, you could play it like that, or like, I can't think of another way that would easily cover all the notes and be a 4-note triadic voicing. But the voice leading would be weird because you'd have like E minor, then it'd be like, you know, it's kind of nice. But the kind of part of the exercise is that what we're doing is, when we're doing these chords, we're taking the thing that makes them diatonic and in a sequence is the fact that the next chord is just taking every note in the first chord and moving it up 1 note in the scale. So when we get up here, we have a note going down, so it kind of doesn't quite follow the exercise. Anyway, long story short, you can always just play that 7th one as half diminished because it's kind of handy on guitar to play it like that. Or you can play it as a first inversion D7 chord. That's kind of nice. A bit more Beatlesy or something. Anyway, E minor. So, as you know, E minor is the relative minor. These are my smiley face pants, trousers. I hope you enjoy them. E minor is the relative minor to G major. So that means that the diatonic chord sequence of E minor is the same chords just starting on E minor. So it's E minor, rather than starting up here, I'm going to start down here. F sharp half diminished. So this shape here is F sharp, E, A, C, G, A minor, B minor, C major, D or D7, depending on whether you're doing 7th chords or not, and E minor. I think I snuck a 7th chord in there by mistake every now and again. So let's try it all in 7th chords. E minor 7, F sharp half diminished, G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, D7, E minor. So when we're thinking of it as E minor as our key center, this then E minor is chord 1 and F sharp half diminished is chord 2, G major is chord 3, etc. Whereas when we're thinking of it as G major as the key center, then G major is chord 1, A minor 7 or A minor is chord 2, B minor is chord 3, etc. So it's just your perspective of where one starts shifts. So that's actually a really important concept of where is your 1. So that's kind of where modal harmony comes from. So as you know, we've got these 7 chords, from G major. We've got 7 chords going up to another G. However, when we use the relative minor, we're using chord 6 as our new 1. However, actually, you can use any of those steps as your new 1. And they all have a different kind of unique flavour to them. So without deviating too much from the task at hand, that's kind of could be our introduction to modal harmony. We could look at that next lesson if we do another one or something like that. Bringing it back to E minor though, so you're looking to harmonise this melody. Let me have a little listen. It's that kind of thing. So, I mean, there's so many ways you can harmonise this, but a first place to start, I guess, is to hear the kind of main points where you can hear the harmony could move. So, that all sounds like E minor to me. So you could play like... kind of nice, rootless voicing, like E minor, but with a, because that whole phrase sounds like E minor to me, even though it starts on a 4th. It sounds like it's kind of suspended. Do, 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 do. So that whole thing sounds like. Yeah, you can do like. I'm not playing the melody right, but I'm trying to give you some ideas of shapes you could use. That could be D major chord. And you'll notice D major is part of our diatonic chords. I don't know if you can hear this. Could be. You could do like. This is probably like the most basic harmonization I can hear of it. Okay, let me pause this. So the chords that I was kind of, my ear was gravitating to is I could hear kind of like E minors, D majors, and maybe it's like that kind of phrase, which I hear is either B7 or it could be B minor. Probably here it's B7. And you mentioned you wanted to go for a kind of classical thing. Let me just check your message. What does it say? Harmonize a free, tasteful micro chord. Okay, so we're kind of plotting out the bigger picture here with these chords. You can use these little shapes if you want these kind of micro chords. One of the things we're gonna encounter is that because there's a lot of like 4 bars or whatever on one chord, you need to find ways of keeping it interesting by like harmonizing. You probably won't harmonize like chord, 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 chord. You have to like chord, bit of melody, other shape. This is like a little D major thing. You know, then resolving to like an implied E minor with just using like a root and a fifth. That's kind of cool. And like you said, you wanted to go for this classical thing. So one of the things that gives things a kind of classical sound is when you kind of step outside of that E natural minor, they call the scale that we're looking at, which is the relative minor of G major. And you step outside of natural minor and you reference instead harmonic minor. So the difference between the natural minor and the harmonic minor is that is the seventh. It's just one note. So a natural minor scale has a root, a second, a minor third, a fourth, a fifth, a flat six, a flat seventh, and a root. This is the kind of scale which your melody sounds like it's based around. But a really common thing to do is to, like I said, reference the harmonic minor. So that's exactly the same, except this D note becomes a D sharp. Excuse me, let me drink some water. I'm glad I could share that with you. So, E harmonic minor. So root, second, flat third, fourth, fifth, flat six, natural seven, root. If I carry it on, root, second, flat third, fourth, fifth, flat sixth, natural seven, root. Can you hear that? D sharp gives it that kind of classical vibe. And without going through all of the, you can do the same thing that we did with E natural minor, where we went up all the steps diatonically, so that for E harmonic minor, you'll have a new set of 7 chords, which are all diatonics at E harmonic minor, and that would be like a whole other project you could embark on if you want to delve into that harmonic sound. However, if you want just a flavor of it, like the way you can get like a really good flavor of the harmonic minor is to use B7. So in the key of E minor, say we're in E natural minor, is to borrow the B7 from E harmonic minor, because that gives you this D sharp. And what it does is it gives you the flavor and moodiness of E natural minor, which is quite somber, but then it also gives you the access to a perfect cadence. If that makes sense. Whereas if we were just using notes from E natural minor, that B chord would actually be B minor 7, which is also a really nice cadence, but it's not got that classical thing. So, because you're wanting these kind of micro chords, you call them, these little shapes, you can like reference B7 with like this kind of shape. Resolving to E minor, D major, E minor, B7, B7 again. It's like B7 flat 9, first inversion, D, E minor. I think this is the sound you're after, but from what you've explained to me. B7. D major. E minor. Another chord which is really cool is like A minor, just 4 minor. I can probably hear that in moments in your melody. So this little cheeky 3-note guy. This little thing here is another really cool thing you can do in when you reference the harmonic minor as your dominant, so as your dominant chord. So one of the cool things about harmonic minor is your dominant chord has a diminished chord within it, and what I mean by that is that if you go to the major third of your dominant chord, so in this key, in this situation it would be B7, the third being D sharp, you can build a diminished chord on that step. So you get this, and this isn't half diminished like we did earlier. Half diminished is where you have this note, like a flat 7, whereas fully diminished you have a 6th, or technically you'd call it a double flat 7th, but that's another kettle of fish. This chord really strongly resolves to E minor, and the beautiful thing about diminished chords is that they repeat every three frets. So these are all the same diminished chord. So one of the cool things is that if you check out these notes, D sharp, A, C, and F sharp, if I go up a minor third, exactly the same shape, this is F sharp, C, D sharp, A, which is the exact same notes as this. These notes are the same notes as this, these notes are the same notes as this, these notes are this, these notes are the same notes as this, these notes are the same notes as this, and they all of these shapes resolve to, sorry I just knocked my mic, all of these shapes resolve to E minor, yeah? C's are cool. C's a nice chord. In. There you go. There's your little 24 minute harmony workout, trying to give you some ideas in E minor so you can give you some ideas to harmonize your melody. We looked at E natural minor, E harmonic minor, borrowing chords from both scales, mainly using natural minor, and then mainly borrowing flavors from that sort of dominant 7th chord you get from E harmonic minor, and the related diminished chords that come from it. And then also looked at making those shapes smaller. So rather than being like 4-note or 5-note chords, just using 3 of the shapes. So rather than doing like, I could just use, it would be very Jeff Buckley. And not being afraid to play some of the melody some of the melody on its own, and then kind of intersperse chords. You don't have to harmonize everything. Sometimes it can be nice to harmonize everything, but you don't have to. Just yeah, see if you can come up with a little arrangement and send it over. I'll let you know. I'll let you know if it's shit. No, I'm joking. I'll let you know if there's any pointers I can think of. Hope you're well. Nice one.